Yeah, I'm Pollyanna Hale. My business, the Fit Mum Formula, actually helps mums to lose weight. But because I help mums, they've also got a big interest in kids' nutrition, and that's often a big topic that we talk about as well in our groups, and how to make sure that the whole family's eating well, and then everyone benefits. So yeah, that's what I do, and yeah, it's interesting to see now how this topic of school lunches is coming up, and packed lunches, and how actually they're not as good, actually, packed lunches these days, it seems. I have two kids. I've got a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old. It is shocking, but it's also not surprising, because I've seen these lunch boxes and it does shock me what goes into them. But as it doesn't surprise me, because children can be notoriously picky eaters, and children do have a preference for sweet foods, and they will go on hunger strike. I disagree when I hear people say that children, if they're given no other option but healthy foods, they'll eat it. No, I'm a nutritionist, and if I can't get my children to eat lentil spinach salads, then I don't see how anyone else is supposed to be able to. And they just won't eat what if they don't like what they're given, they won't eat it. And at school, that means they can't concentrate, they're falling asleep in class, they don't have the energy to take part in sport and PE, and I think it benefits everyone, not least the children, if they've got a full belly and they've eaten something. And the easiest way to do that, of course, is give them foods that you know they love and they know they're going to eat. And of course, children being children, that's going to be the sugary junk foods, and so that's why people do it. It gives everyone an easy life. And unfortunately, it's not helping them, but it does mean that they eat it. Well, I think there's actually a middle ground to be had. As any parent knows, it is always about compromise. And what people think is it has to be either one extreme or the other. They either have to be eating really sugary junk food, or they have to be eating these fussy, expensive health foods that actually most children would turn their nose up. And actually, that's not the case at all. Healthy eating, both for adults and children, does not have to be complicated. It does not have to be expensive. You don't have to make fussy, difficult to eat foods. They can eat things that are very familiar to them but are also nutritious. It can be really simple things, like instead of giving them a packet of crisps, it could be some plain breadsticks that don't have loads of added flavorings and salt and sugar to them. It could be swapping processed cheese for some plain mild cheddar cheese. It could be swapping processed meats and cocktail sausages and things like that for proper sliced ham straight off the bone. And most children will be quite happy to eat simple foods like this. And when it comes to fruit and vegetables, I don't know many children who won't eat some sort of fruit and vegetables, even if they'll only choose a couple. If they're literally restricted to a couple of types, maybe blueberries are quite popular, cucumber sticks, if that's all they're going to eat in terms of fruit and vegetables, it's better than nothing. There's always these options. They will always eat something that's better. Well, funnily enough, children are a creature of habits, and they actually tend to prefer routine, and they probably prefer it. And I've seen this amongst lots of children. If you did give them exactly the same thing every day, it's familiar to them, and it taps into that safety net of they understand the food and they know it's good and they know it's safe. So variety doesn't tend to be a problem for them, but it is, as I said, it's about making compromises. They may not like granary bread that's got loads of seeds in, tough crusts, chewy things like that they won't eat, but they might eat a wholemeal wrap that's a bit softer and easier to eat. Softer breads, simple foods. No, I can't shove a load of all sorts of salady bits into their sandwiches, but a few slices of cucumber might be okay, or some cherry tomatoes chopped up, and things like that, that are really child friendly. They're finger sized foods. Sometimes I'll put cheese sticks, like just plain cheddar cheese, mild flavoured, things like that. Really, at schools, obviously, I would love to be able to give things like nuts and nut bars, because they're so nutritious, but they are actually banned in schools for in case there's children with allergies around. But there's lots of options out there. Yeah, it's not actually as complicated. I think people make it more complicated than it has to be. Sliced chicken is another favourite one. My kids love chicken legs straight off the bone, and not every child will, but chicken's a very mild meat, so again, it's very child friendly. And yeah, these don't have to be children specific foods. So often when you buy foods marketed at children, they can be quite expensive because you're paying for a cartoon on the packet or some extra processing. But if you can buy some very simple mild foods that are adult foods, then that'll be cheaper in the long run as well. I don't. I think it varies on different schools. Have different numbers because not every school will offer hot lunches at all, and some schools don't have an in-house kitchen, so they'll get hot lunches delivered. That's the system that our primary school uses, and I think there's it's about 50-50 in our school. So a lot of them are getting a good cooked lunch. Obviously, when they're choosing their hot lunch at school, that's not to say that the cooked lunch they're being offered is any better either. But yeah, I think some parents feel that they would rather give their children a packed lunch because then they've got control of what goes into that box and they know their child will eat it. Whether they're choosing the healthy things or not, they like to have that control and they like to know what their children are eating. Oh, definitely. I mean, it's in all areas of life, isn't it? But lunch is one of their three main meals of the day, so it is an important one, and you can't rule it out. It's okay every so often having some, unhealthy snacks or puddings as treats, but lunch is in the middle of the day. They're at school and they're supposed to be concentrating and learning, and your brain needs to be fueled to learn. So if they're not being fueled nutritionally, they're not going to learn as much, and it makes such a huge difference. I've seen the studies and I've seen the difference it makes. Good nutrition for children, it results in better exam results in older children, better focus and concentration, reduced incidences of things like ADHD and poor behaviour. It makes such a massive difference. And with schools being, I wouldn't say a crisis, but it's a constant battle to improve the quality of teaching and the quality of learning and outcomes. And nutrition plays such an important part in that it baffles me as to why there isn't a bigger emphasis put on children's physical health.